Mic check, 1, 2. Mic check, 1, 2. The levels look good. I think we're ready to go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, the mic check seems to have been successful. I think all tech is good and ready to go. It is just about time to get this thing rolling. And a shout out to, who is this? Anypromo.com, who is the first ad that I saw on the account this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, children of all ages, I am the Old Humble Guy, and we are here at the Old Humble Distilling Company. There's my still in the background, one of my stills in the background, both of my stills are actually in the background, one's on the ground, one is on the pot. That's my gantry crane, Ichabod, the crane. Yeah, that's how it works. I think I may do an experiment on this afternoon sesh that I do, and do it on StreamYard one day, because it seems to be that when I do a show on StreamYard, the Romper Room set comes out. Excuse me. And we get a whole, that was probably gross. I'm sorry. And we get like a whole new crowd of trolls and goobers coming into the party. And it's interesting to see, because I don't get that with OBS, but I do get that a lot with, it seems that I get that a lot with StreamYard, and I find that to be interesting. So I may do an experiment in the next couple of weeks where I do this show on StreamYard in the middle of the day, just to see. It'd be a little bit different format, similar enough format, I guess. I'd have the one camera. What's going on with the playback here? Reset. I'm trying to check the monitor, the YouTube monitor, real quick before I get started. So to introduce myself, I'm the owner and operator of the Old Humble Distilling Company. That is this place, the Old Humble Distilling Company. We are, today I'm going to be bottling up gin in my afternoon bottling sesh, my afternoon live sesh, and I'm going to be unburdening myself as we chat. Okay, looks like everything is operating optimally, so I should be able to go ahead and switch views and get cracking. So it's our Flower Moon Gin. I'm bottling up about 10 cases of the Flower Moon Gin, 60 bottles, 5 cases of 5 normal 12-pack cases, 10 6-pack cases. Bottling these guys up and getting them ready for a delivery by the sales guy. And hey, y'all are going to be in my therapy session today, so cool. This is the operating table. Let me move this a little bit to the right. So there's the bottler. Yeah, so y'all be able to see my butt the whole time. That's what's important, you know, to be able to see my butt. Anyway, all right, that should do it. My phone is right here, so I'll be able to kind of watch chat as it comes through. But the whole thing is going to be, if I set this up right, it does look like I set this up right. Good. So first we'll talk about gin. Gin is a flavored neutral grain spirit. I could turn this just a little bit further to the side there. So yeah, all the bottles are going to land over there. So it's basically a flavored vodka, but it's a specifically flavored vodka. It has the flavorings of, generally it's juniper forward. I'm going to dump this because I did rinse out the I rinsed out the line, so there's a little bit of water in the line, which would affect the flavor of the gin, but only a little bit, only slightly. It'll be slightly watery. I am going to have to monitor these and make sure that they're not cloudy, but we should be good on this batch. It doesn't. I've bottled up a couple of bottles already, and they don't appear to be cloudy. And I'll talk about cloudy gin in a second. So the logo's right over my face. I'm going to move that logo. I'm going to move it to the other side. Hello, logo. 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 There you are. Still over there. Live production. So gin is basically a flavored vodka. It is flavored with a botanical, usually botanicals, juniper, citrus. We've got juniper, we've got citrus, and oftentimes a couple of other little bits and bobs that go in there. This particular gin has, I believe it's 36 flavor notes that go into it, including onion seed, coriander, lemongrass. I've put together the ingredients for a gin. I've just never actually done my own gin. I need to. I would like to. I should. I just haven't ever done it. I've been busy doing other things. But one of these days, and one of these days soon, it'll get done. So that's what gin is. It is a neutral grain spirit that has been distilled with botanicals. Those botanicals are generally juniper forward, along with citrus, and some other flavorings to, not sure about this. So what happens when the gin comes out of suspension, the flavorings and botanicals come out of suspension in the gin, and then you end up with a slightly cloudy product. Then that can be fixed by redistilling it, but it could just be Yeah, okay, so we're not cloudy. It's just there's just air bubbles in suspense. It's actually very clear down at the bottom. So these are going to clarify as they settle. So this isn't cloudy. This is bubbly until it settles out. And gin is typically a crystal clear spirit. It's generally clear like water or vodka, and you should expect it to be clear. And if this batch is not clear, what happens to cause it to be cloudy is usually the distillation process may have gone a little bit long, and there were some extra oils from the botanicals that got into the juice, so to speak, and led to a higher concentration of flavors in the gin. And then the temperature, then when it was mixed, the temperature change again caused the compounds to come out of solution. And they come out of solution, they go into suspense and float inside the bottle. You can't, they're micro flavoronoids. I don't know how to describe them. They're microscopic sized compounds, proteins and such. But we don't have that problem with these. That is crystal clear. And what I was worried about, if you see this one, at the top it looks a little cloudy, but at the bottom it's perfectly clear. So this is actually settling because it's not a cloudy gin. It's just air bubbles in the suspension. So those air bubbles settle out as the liquor settles in the bottle, and it becomes perfectly clear. And now in the marketplace, people tend to prefer the clear gin, but the cloudy gin is oftentimes seen as more flavorful, a more flavorful product because it has more of those proteins and compounds suspended in the product because they came out of solution. It means there was a hyper solution of flavorings in the product, and they were oversaturated with the flavoring. So if they look cloudy, it can initially be a little off-putting, but especially if what you want is, as a producer, you want the clear gin. So that's what we want. We want the clear gin. We want the highly concentrated flavor, but we want it to stay in solution and not come out and be in suspension. So there you go. Okay, so that's what we're doing. And I've only got 60 bottles to do. We have 11 cases total. So this will be 10 cases of 6, plus I already have one more case set aside for tastings and samplings and such. And there we go. See, that is the crystal clear nature of the gin that we're doing. And that, my friends, is how it works. So last week I started doing a periodic series called Building Serenity, where I am literally building a Lego version of the Serenity, a Firefly class spaceship from the TV series Firefly and movie Serenity. I believe it is 20th Century Fox, currently owned by Disney, which makes Mal a Disney prince and Kaylee a Disney princess. And I guess Inara's a Disney princess too. She's a smoke show. But I was kind of a fan of Kaylee myself. she was more of the, she was more mechanically inclined. Anyway, useful, I think, is the term I would have used. But I didn't want to say useful and it sounded weird and pervy. Oh yeah, she's useful. I mean, Inara was a ambassador. What do they call her? A consort? She was a hua. I can't remember who the actress is that played her. She was good. Everybody was good in that show. It was such a well-written show. Thoroughly enjoyable, well-written show. Oh, I loved it so much. A Western, Wild West sci-fi. Where they'd gone and colonized, just thoroughly colonized and terraformed other systems. Very much a Wild West in spaceships type of ethos and mentality. Also, I have a hard stop at 5 o'clock today. So if we don't get done what I need to get done by 5 o'clock, it will just simply not be done. I will come back tomorrow or possibly late tonight and do it off camera. See, so here's the theory. I started the show I think it was last Thursday. I went live and streamed for just a little while. It wasn't a very long stream. I think it was only on for like an hour and a half, but it was surprisingly stressful because I was trying to watch. I was literally streaming among strangers. There was a whole bunch of people watching. I went live with StreamYard. There was a bunch of people watching, and I didn't know who they were, and they were all trying to troll and being trolly, and that wasn't really bothering me. It was just trying to keep up with random chat and a bunch of fucking loser dorky romper room bozos trying to troll me about making whiskey and being bad for society and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? I'm under no delusions whatsoever about what I do. You little fucking children. We make whiskey. We make alcohol. Alcohol is a Class C carcinogen. There's no secret about that. It is on the bottle. But it's also legal and constitutionally protected. And you are free to do it or not, and nobody's holding you down and forcing you. And if you do it in moderation, just like your little cannabinoids that you little fucking losers take all the time, you sit there and be all like, oh, I don't take any drugs. Yeah, you do. You take aspirin, you little baby. You take caffeine. You do all kinds of drugs. You just don't want to admit that your drug's a drug while you sit there and suck on your little tea through the little twisty straw that you get. You don't want to admit that your caffeine is a drug, but it is. It alters your mind. Your endorphins are drugs. You do endorphins all the time. Your body does. If you don't do them, if you don't put them in your body will produce them for you. You are getting your endorphins. You are getting some kind of high somewhere along the road. And you're not fooling anyone with your bullshit righteous talk. I mean, the dare message from the youth when I was a kid is strong. Don't put any drugs in your body. Holy, what? What is that? Benefit Saver USA. Hey, thanks Benefit Saver USA for advertising on the show. Appreciate it. That's another 1/10 of a penny in my pocket. Woo! Anyway, that was the message back when dare was a thing when I was in high school. Just don't do any kind of drugs. Don't put any altering stuff. Well, Advil's a drug. So is acetaminophen, ibuprofen, acetylsalicylic acid. Those are all drugs. We don't have any problems with drugs. We don't have any problems with chemicals going in our body. Because if you don't put chemicals in your body, then where are you going to get your dihydrogen monoxide? It's not naturally produced. Oxygen's not naturally produced. The metabolic process is a whole chemical process that takes one set of chemicals and turns them into another set of chemicals, and then you expel those sets of chemicals that you have produced inside your body. But I don't put chemicals in my body. Yeah, you do. You fucking idiots. Your ignorance is not my problem. Now, if y'all noticed, you may have noticed from my tone that I feel a little chippy lately. You know, a little cranky, you might say. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We need one more row to have the 10 by 6. I feel just a little bit chippy. Frustrated, maybe, with my fellow man. And I've been trying to figure out why I have felt maybe a little bit grumpy recently. And it was hard for me to really put my finger on it. But I think I've kind of zeroed in on what exactly it is that has been giving me the grumps lately. And here you go. Here's my theory of why I've been a little bit more cranky than usual. I need to get more, give me 1 second. Let me get some more corks. And then I'll finish that line of thought. Corks are over here somewhere. That box. Nope. Oh, that box is empty. God damn it. This one. Nope. Okay. Well, I guess I've worked through all the corks that are over here. I got to go to these corks over here. I will need to come back for all of you in just a minute. But first things first. Let's take this bag. This will do. Corks. Anyway, so where was I? Oh, why am I grouchy lately? I've been a little grouchy lately. I haven't been able to really figure out why. And here's what I think. Since these Epstein files before the Epstein files were released, we, who I like to call the rational set, had been calling the alarm. Like, this is bad. Like, what we're doing is bad. The guy we elected is bad. He's a bad person. We know he's an associate of Jeffrey Epstein. He's a known associate. He's been to the island. He's been carousing with the guy at Mar-a-Lago for years. We know who this guy is. He's a predator. He is probably in the files. In fact, it's a near certainty that he's in the files. It's a near certainty that he's a pedophile. It's a near certainty that he's been working with Epstein. Like, all the pieces come together. He had his little beauty pageants. He had his little beauty pageants that he did. He had the little beauty pageants, and he would walk in on the girls in the beauty pageants. His little grab him by the pussies escapade that everybody just dismissed as locker room talk. I've never talked like that in a locker room, but whatever, it's cool. We said it. We were raising the alarm. We were raising the alarm about the racism. We've been raising the alarm about the authoritarianism. We've been raising the alarm about the proto-fascism. We've been raising the alarm about all of this stuff. Since 2016, we have been raising the alarm about this. And, from 2016 to 2020, 2016 to 2020, it might have been a little alarmist because there were legitimate guardrails in place. There were institutionalists and people holding him back. There were the Mark Millies of the world and whatever the name of that stupid little elf who was the first attorney general. The Supreme Court was holding him somewhat in check. He only had a 5-4 majority, a compliant majority, and even they weren't like his people. You know what I mean? The courts held him in check. Congress somewhat held him in check. Like he had guardrails holding him in check, and we kept sounding the alarm. If there's a second term, this is gonna get bad because he's gonna figure out where the guardrails were and he's gonna remove the guardrails. We were sounding the alarm. In the first term, it may have sounded a little bit alarmist, but at the end of the first term, it was pretty obvious. It was pretty obvious that it wasn't alarmist. By the end of the first term, he had a whole fucking insurrection. But okay, he's out the door. He's never coming back, right? He was defeated in an election. He's never coming back. Fine. We don't have to worry about him anymore. We can end this resistance movement and kind of get on with normal operations. Right? We should be able to get on with normal operations, right? Like Joe Biden and his Department of Justice, they'll investigate the people who did the insurrection. Those people will go to jail. Check. We'll investigate the people who led the insurrection. Those people will go to jail. Check. We'll investigate Donald Trump and his part in the insurrection, and he'll go to jail. Right? 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 Or at the very least, be impeached for it after the fact, an impeachment post administrato, or be declared ineligible by Congress for future elections. Right? On account of holding an insurrection and threatening to overthrow the normal operational government of the United States, right? Okay, so fine, that didn't happen. But then he's not going to win the next election. He's going to try and run, but he's not going to win, right? Okay. And we're sounding the alarm all through the second election cycle. We're sounding the alarm. Guys, this is going to get bad. You can't just arrest 3,000 people a day. You can't do the numbers that they're talking about without just going in the street and rounding people up and then sorting it out. You can't do that. And that's against the law. That's unconstitutional. You can't just arrest people and then figure out if they've committed a crime. That you can't profile people. You can't just go arrest the brown people, right? We were calling the alarm the whole damn time. They're like, oh, we're not going to do that. We're not going to separate families. We're not going to do that. We're just going to go after the worst of the worst, the criminals, the ones that have felonies and criminal convictions. What, like the president that y'all just elected? We're just going to go. We're not going to go after the ones having with jobs and stuff. We're not going to do that. And we kept saying, we kept saying they're gonna have to. They're gonna have to, because immigrants do not commit crimes at rates higher than native-born citizens. They're gonna have an office. Joe Biden never closed the office of denaturalization that Trump started, and they're gonna staff this office, and this office is going to search for ways and reasons to remove citizens' naturalization status. And we kept sounding the alarm. And fine, some people didn't believe us. I get it. They didn't believe us, so they didn't care. You know, the financial question was more important. They'll put up with the racism as long as the financial burden gets relieved. It doesn't matter that Joe Biden had already reduced inflation from 8 or 9%, wherever it was back in 2021 or in 2022, to 2.7%. That doesn't matter. What matters is the perception, and prices were still high. They weren't rising anymore, but they were still high. Gas was still high. It wasn't rising anymore, but the gas was, too expensive. Doesn't matter that they're the ones who bought their fucking trucks. They're the ones who decided that they were going to buy gas guzzlers. They're the ones who decided to turn in their EVs for SUVs. Doesn't matter. What matters is the consequences of their actions made gas prices unbearable. Kept sounding the alarm. If he puts on tariffs, that's not going to lower prices. Tariffs don't lower prices. That's not what tariffs do. Tariffs raise prices and protect domestic industries by preventing fair competition from foreign producers. Tariffs are a tax on the population, and if you want prices to go down, you don't want tariffs. Tariffs cause prices to go up, and they artificially protect high prices. We kept saying it again and again and again and again and again. We kept saying he doesn't know how to use the law. He doesn't know how to use Congress. He doesn't know how to pass laws. He doesn't know how to set policy. He's going to run the government through executive order. And that is not how a representative democracy works. That's not how a constitutional democracy works. That's not what's supposed to happen. That is a risk, a threat to our democracy. We kept saying it. And all the way up to where we are now, there was always the possibility that they didn't believe us. There was always the possibility that we were being alarmist, even though he said what he wanted to do. Use the military on American streets. Use the National Guard against American citizens. Use the military. Use the National Guard. Use his own private police force. Because if he can't use the FBI, if he can't use DEA, if he can't use the Secret Service, if he can't use the military, if he can't use the postal inspectors, then he'll build a police force. And that police force that he's trying to build is Immigration Customs, ICE. He's going to use, he has said he's going to use them, or Bannon has said, you're damn right that ICE is going to surround polling locations in the midterms. That is what we've been saying and warning people about, that is not ICE's job. The scope of ICE's jurisdiction does not include citizens of the United States. Their police jurisdiction does not include me. I do not have to comply. They have no jurisdiction over me. They can't arrest me. They have no warrant. They have no right. They have no authority. They can suck my dick. But that's not going to stop them from trying. Sunflower's in the house. Welcome to the party, Sunflower. Welcome to my therapy session. I'm venting because I've been grumpy lately, and I'm trying to put my finger on exactly why I'm grumpy, and I think I'm just about getting to the point. Because all the way through all this, we've been saying it. We've been raising the alarm. We've been raising the warning. We've been saying all of this stuff is going to happen. And up until this point, up until the release of the Epstein documents, we've been saying he's a pedophile. He's a sexual abuser. He's criminal. He's all of these things. He's not a good person. And all the way up through it, you could dismiss it as alarmist, as conjecture of prediction without basis, fan fiction of what we think he is and what he think he may do, but not not based in actual relevancy. But now we're seeing it happen, and I've gone on the forums with some of these right-wing chuds who are just like, oh, if you don't want to get arrested in the United States, then you should just comply with the cops and do what you're supposed to say. And these are the same fucking idiot chuds who also have little cannons in the background and little Gadsden flags that they say, don't tread on me, and have their little fucking firearms and concealed carry license, and they're absolutely positively willing to shoot a federal law enforcement officer, to protect their rights. These fucking chuds, these hypocritical chuds, edgelord dipshits who don't actually believe what they're saying online. They're just doing it as a little role play game to get their little clicks and likes from their fellow like-minded chuds online, who are also too cowardly to do the basic things to keep their family safe, like, disinfect the dishes, wear a goddamn mask during a pandemic, mop the floor, do the things that'll actually protect your family. They're not willing to do any of that shit. But they'll have their concealed carry weapon and concealed carry license just in case they have to pull up on a brown person. Anyway, tangent. I've been on their shows and I've spoken my mind, and I do not feel in any way, shape, or form obligated to be polite with fascists and edgelords and douchebags. I don't feel an overwhelming urge to play pretend that I like these people. They'll say stupid shit like, oh, Old Humble's in the house. I really like it when he comes around. No, you don't. You don't fucking like it when I come around because I challenge your way of thinking, or at least your way of acting. And I'll call you out on your bullshit, and you don't like it. And you ask me questions like, why are you even here? Well, I'm here because you invited me up, you fucking dipshit. And at the slightest chance that I could break through some of the echo chamber noise and give y'all a glimpse into reality of what actually is happening, that's why I'm there. But I've come to the point where I don't even want to be around these people. And I've kind of zeroed in on why it is that I'm kind of grumpy lately. Is because now with the Epstein documents dropped, we can dispel with the illusion that these people are just that they're just ignorant. Because you can not believe us when we've been raising the alarm for this, because we've been saying it since 2016. This is an existential threat to our democracy, because ever since, when he came down the escalator steps in 2015, it's been an existential threat to our democracy. It is what it is. It is what it's been, and we've been saying that. And and the thing is, we say it enough that it just kind of, for the first term of this, we didn't really act like it was an existential threat to our democracy. Our leaders didn't really act like it was a threat to our democracy. They kept him at arm's length, but they didn't ice him out when they had the chance. They didn't end his career when they had a chance, when they had a second chance, when they had a third chance. We thought they did. We thought they suddenly grew a spine when there was a mob at the literal doors to their office trying to fucking kill them. We thought that was enough for them to grow a fucking spine. Some of them even said the words. It's been a good run, but it's over now. But then just a few short weeks later, that spine just dissolved into the gooey little muscle mass that was their sluggish little frame. And they realized that the only way they were going to retain power and stay in power was to keep this fascist cunt in the center of their politics, so they tolerated it. And then the stupid podcast chuds were all like, "Oh, he seems like he's a fair straight shooter. He seems like he's got it all there. I don't see why we should be worried about it. What he says, what he's going to do, he's going to do. There's no way he's going to be that bad. He's not going to be that bad." And we've been saying since 2015, he's absolutely going to be that bad. We knew he was in the files. We knew he was a pedophile. We knew he had abused women. We knew he was a felon. We knew all of this stuff. And yet, a significant portion of the population didn't care. We can dismiss it that they didn't believe. Yeah, and all that stuff couldn't possibly be true. And if you read through some of these files from the Epstein case, it's hard to believe that some of that stuff is true, because it is. A lot of that's just fucking horrific. Absolutely horrific. It is hard to believe that it's true. I could give him a pass for that. It's hard to believe that some of this stuff is true. Even after reading it with my own eyes, it's really hard to believe that it's true. But it is. And it's hard to believe that we live in a world where masked agents just kick in a door and arrest people in a home, not announcing who they are, not saying who they're for. They just arrest everybody and then work out who's the bad guy. And they put wristbands on people. If you're brown enough to get arrested, they'll put a wristband on you to make sure that you're one of the good ones, so they don't arrest you twice. That's not how the police work. That's not how police are supposed to work in the United States. That's how ICE works. That's not how police are supposed to work. You arrest somebody, it's because you are looking for that person. You have an arrest warrant. You don't just arrest people. That is called profiling. That is against the law. The Constitution, the Supreme Court has said as much. We see it happening. I think what's got me pissed off and cranky lately is, despite the fact that we see it happening, we know it's happening, we see it, there's still people who look at it and go, that's not what's happening. It's exactly what's happening. Can you not see the fucking video of it happening live? Do you not hear the words that they're saying when they say what they're doing, which is the same as what's happening on the TV, on the videos, on the internet? Do you not hear the words? When they say, we are going to go door to door and knock on doors and break into houses and arrest everyone we see. Do you not hear the words? When they say they're going to do it and then they do it, you should probably believe that that's what they did. It's one thing to be ignorant. It's another thing to not care. Because on the one hand, it's a choice. It's stupidity by choice. And ignorance and stupidity aren't the same thing. But when you're given the information and the information is readily available and you choose ignorance, that's stupidity. It's a whole different thing when you see that he is a pedophile, when you see that he is a criminal, when you see that he is a rapist, when you see that he has authoritarian leanings, when you see that he has no regard for our democracy, when you see that he thinks he's above the laws, when you see and hear and read and all of these things are true and you don't care. Well, that's the difference between stupid and evil. Because we can't just dismiss it as ignorance. Because they're choosing ignorance. They're choosing to not believe what's happened. They're choosing to not believe what their eyes tell them, what their ears tell them, what is happening around them. They're choosing to dismiss and equivocate and make up lies. Oh, she shouldn't have tried to run him over with her car. Oh, he shouldn't have been having his gun on him. It's his constitutional right to carry a gun. Y'all been saying it's a constitutional right to carry a fucking gun for 40 fucking years. Self-protection, constitutional right, shall not be abridged. What part of shall not be abridged do you not understand? Well, now they're all about abridging. There's a difference between stupid and evil. On the one hand, you can forgive stupid. Can't really fault a bird for not knowing how to read. They're just a bird. They're just stupid. Can't really fault them. But when the bird sees the tree and runs into the tree, well, doesn't care that the birds are running into the tree, doesn't care that the tree's there, doesn't care that his fellow birds are running into the tree. That's fucking evil. That's a terrible analogy. What's up, son? Republican House bill guts laws protecting U.S. consumers from toxic chemicals. Bill limits to... And that's another thing. He said he was going to wreck the federal government. He said he was going to destroy the state. He said he was going to literally destroy the laws and institutions that make this country, make the government function. You know, all the bureaucracy that prevented him from being an autocratic dictator in the first term. Instead of going through the proper channels, he's just taking a wrecking ball to it. Quite literally. Now, I'm not going to act like I give a shit about the East Wing of the White House. Most of these people who are freaking out about the East Wing of the White House have never even fucking seen the East Wing of the White House. They don't know. They don't care. And I don't care either. And I'm not going to act like I care. I do care about the process. I do care about what going outside of the federal process means. I do care about the corruption that is inherent in taking private donations to build a portion of a public facility. Laundering money through construction projects is a tale as old as time. This is a thing that has been done by the mob and crooked real estate developers like Donald Trump for as long as there have been multi-million-dollar construction projects. When you're building a thing that costs $400 million or $200 million, it's real easy to pad the books and hire a project manager who just so happens to be an LLC that's run by your family, and that project manager gets 10% of the total job, and that's how you launder $20 million and drive the price of the project up by $20 million. And then you drive it up another 10 or 15 or 30 or 40 or 50 or $60 million. And next thing you know, you're able to launder $50 million through this project. You create an equipment company that buys the equipment that you need for the renovation and then sells the equipment that you need for the renovation to you at a 20% markup or 50% markup. Hell, let's be creative here. $1 million worth of equipment, give it a 50% markup. That's another $500,000 in your pocket. That is a bad. neck cover. But we saw it. We saw all of this, and we said it. We raised the alarm. We told you so, and you didn't care. You just don't care. They just don't care. I'm wearing a red hat, so I'm MAGA. Yeah, no. This is my beloved University of Houston football Cougars. Fight, fight, fight for red and white. Yeah, I think I just need to get that off my chest. It's been especially frustrating these last couple of weeks with all this drip of the Epstein files coming out, and unnamed sources being all like, we know the names, we have the video, we have the proof, we know the names. Like, release the fucking proof then. If you know who it is, if you know what they did, if you have the proof, if you have the unredacted files, if you have the names, name the fucking names. Corroborate the evidence. Just fucking do it. Quit saying you can. Quit saying you would. Quit saying you should. If the Clintons want to come clean, they want to do a testimony before Congress, but only if it's public. You know what? Bill fucking Clinton has access to a goddamn camera and a whole room of microphones. He can do the whole fucking deposition right there in his goddamn living room, live on YouTube, and tell the whole fucking world. But he's not doing it. And neither is Donald Trump, and neither is any other of these rat bastards. He just fucking come out and do it. Tired of this shit. These goddamn culture warriors, Jesus Christ, they've been getting on my fucking nerves more and more and more and more. Getting all pissy because Bad Bunny did a halftime show in Spanish. These motherfuckers haven't watched a halftime show all year long. It reminds me when Colin Kaepernick was kneeling for the national anthem, and there was all the, we've boycotted the NFL. These motherfuckers boycotted the NFL. And now they're telling us that the halftime show has to be in English, or they're never going to watch the NFL again. Good. Get out of my sports. Get out of my life. Go away. Just go away. Excuse me. I've got to walk over here real quick. You were supposed to have boycotted this already. You were supposed to have already gone away. Why are we still putting up with you people? Go away. Just go away. Go away mad. I don't care. Just go away. Leave. We're sick of their shit. Oh, he's got blue hair. Oh, look at the nose rings. Oh, look at the tattoos. Oh, look at the skirt's too short. That boy's wearing an earring. That boy's wearing a dress. That boy's kissing another boy. That girl's kissing another girl. I can't just be normal. I can't fucking go away. Mind your own business. Leave us alone. Don't you have a Hobby Lobby to go to or something? Something to just leave the rest of us alone? Enough already. So tired of their shit. It's exhausting. They're always mad about some shit. They're always mad about some shit. They're always pissy about some shit. You didn't say Merry Christmas enough. You didn't say the Hanukkah card had the wrong font. Like, goddamn. Go away. Isn't there an island somewhere that you could go to? Or I guess they closed that island down. Yeah, that's a little Epstein Island shade right there. I just decided to throw that out there. What's up, son? I saw you posted something. What? How many continents are there? Actually, fun fact: the number of continents really does depend on where you're from, because North America and South America are considered a single continent in Europe, with each one being a subcontinent of the Americas. Some places consider Europe and Asia to be a single continent. So it depends. In some places, there's 5. In some places, there's 6. In some places, there's 7. It really, in America, we were raised on 7 continents. Europe, Asia, what was it? Europe, Asia, Australia. Europe, Asia, Australia, North America, South America, Africa, Antarctica. Yeah, 7. And I think in risk, there's 6. What those, to read more history. Ignorant folks don't know what those, what? Things mean? Well, it's not just, yes, ignorance is a problem, generally speaking. The lack of reading is a problem, generally speaking. Oh, and as a point of reference from earlier, see, we are 100%, all the floating air bubbles and stuff are all gone. 100% crystal clear. That is what it's supposed to look like after all the stuff settles. Anyway, I haven't had a good venting in a while. I haven't had a good rant. I've gotten in plenty of shouting matches with proto-fascists and racists. And generally speaking, I like to take the tactful path of just letting them speak. You know, when they say stupid shit like, "What are they standing in the line at the grocery store just talking their Spanish?" Yeah, that's for non-racists. That's just called talking. But sure, Ike, you fucking racist blacksmith piece of shit. Tell us how you have black friends or Mexican friends. Tell us how your wife is from the Philippines, so you can't possibly be racist. You can be a chauvinist pig, without question. And when they come for your wife, you'll see exactly what we're talking about. Not Ike's wife. You'll see exactly what we're talking about when we say, "We told you so." Because we told you so. We told you so. This cork's got a little lift to it, and I'm going to try and seal it down a little bit lower one more time. Sometimes the gases will vent out of the alcohol that is in solution. And when that happens, the corks rise up a little bit because the air, the gas is vented out, and it takes up a little bit extra space inside the bottle. So when that gas takes up a little bit of space, it pushes the cork up a little bit. And when the cork gets pushed up a little bit, we got to give it a little touch of the juice and knock it back down. All right. So yeah, that felt good to get that off my chest. It's been pent up for too long. Thanks for being my therapy session, chat. Appreciate it. Y'all all owe me $25. Because I think that's what a therapy session costs. I don't know. I've never been to therapy. Well, I haven't been to therapy in years. Let's put it that way. Not since the court required it. What? No, I'm just joking. I don't abide by any fucking laws. I hate that culture warriors have gone. The most trusted crypto exchange is advertising on my channel. Coinbase, buy, blah, blah, blah. Boy, they're going to hate it if they ever find out that I think crypto is a fucking scam. They might never advertise on my channel again. Oh no! Whatever am I going to do without that 32 cents of revenue that might come eventually one day? Actually, I don't even think I get 32 cents off these guys. Probably a third of 2 cents. Now, shit. All right. So, I need more labels. Where are the labels at? Bom, bom, bom. What box do I have the labels in? Is it this box? Nope. Is it this box? What was that? That's not a label box. All right. Labels. Labels, 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 labels. Where are my labels? Are they over here? Nope. Huh. Where are the labels? We might be done with this job for now if I can't find the labels. These are Disco. All right, good deal. A whole nother set of them. All right. Let's see here. Up under here. Goes over here. Under there, I believe. I don't think that's right. I kind of have a feeling it goes over this, down under through there. I'm trying to do this the easy way here by running it back to the spool. And then I'm going to put the new spool on, attach that to the front. Yeah, that's how it goes. Okay, so I'm going to attach the new spool here. You'll see what I'm talking about if you're paying attention. I'm going to attach that new spool and then tape the first I'm going to tape the first label here to the end of the tape there. Skadoosh. What's up? Trump administration doesn't follow the laws, right? Well, I think this administration doesn't think it has to. And that's partly because of the Supreme Court ruling that the president can't be held liable for violating laws within his line of duty. Within the scope of the presidency, he can't be found liable. Comes over the top. So he can't be found criminally liable for violating laws as the president of the United States, which to him, I assume, I'm not a psychiatrist by any stretch of the imagination, to him, I assume, means that he doesn't have to abide by the law. Which, technically, is not untrue. He doesn't have to abide by the law, because if he can't be held liable for violating the law, why does he have to abide by the law? I mean, they gave him a pass to just break the fucking law, do whatever he wants as president of the United States. Now, Congress should hold him liable if we had a fucking Congress that would do their goddamn job. But we've also seen these jackoffs just ignore Congress entirely. So it's like, well, that didn't fucking work. Under, over. Back through. Where's the screwdriver? I thought I was going to be smart about this, but no. Apparently, I'm just a stupid, dumb idiot. There we go. Put that back where it belongs. No such thing as being smart in this place. No, sir. That is a bad label as well. Bye-bye. All right. What's up? Anyway, like I said, I feel better now. I just had to get that off my chest. It is disappointing to know that there's that many people among us who just don't care, and who, you know, the root of evil is apathy. The lack of empathy is the genesis of evil. And if you refuse to show empathy and literally just choose to not care, because empathy is a choice. Empathy is not an emotion that comes naturally to people. Empathy is a choice emotion. You can choose to feel it, or you can choose to not feel it. There's no such thing as people who can't. There may be people who can't easily read social cues, but there's no such thing as somebody who can't choose to share in your joy or sorrow or hurt, confusion, whatever it is. You can always choose to do that. The first labels on a new roll just pissed me off so much. That's 4 labels now that have been ruined at the front end of this roll. Ugh, I gotta lose some weight. Anyway, there it is again. Five. What's up? Are you talking about a certain person has a political YouTube show that we both know of? We both know if I talk about someone, chances are you know who they are. Hell, you've probably been on their show, but it's not Bacon. But he's probably been on Bacon's show. If I had to guess, I'm pretty sure he's been on Bacon's show. I don't think I've seen him for a while. I guess he's been busy licking boots. Hasn't really had a lot of free time lately, I guess. Most fascists don't have free time lately. They're busy defending pedophiles and licking fascist boots. These bottles are filthy. Anyway, but as far as you may not know them all. I've gone on a bunch of different YouTube right-wingish places, and they're all the same. They're all the same. There is no daylight between them, which is why you know they don't really mean what they say, but they're doing it for the engagement. %100% for the engagement. They don't really believe it. They're playing a stupid little act. Just like fuckity fuck. I'm not answering that. I'm busy. The new label roll blues. Let's turn this down a little bit, maybe. See, it's not sticking to the bottle is the problem. It's not sticking to the bottle. That one stuck to the bottle. Okay. Excellent. This is the challenges that you face sometimes. Shania Twain in the parking lot, ladies and gentlemen. Shania Twain. Y'all can't hear that because that is not coming through on my microphone. Of course it's not. Why would it? I have a good microphone now. Funny thing about this good microphone, I got this microphone so that I could use it on my phone, on my telephone, my cell phone. And then the little port that I plug the microphone into on my phone went and died. So the little USB port on my phone currently does not work. So I can't use these fancy little microphones on my phone. Fucking motherfucker. But yeah, Sunflower, you know Ike. Or Nate? I don't remember. Might have gotten his name wrong. I do that every once in a while. But a lot of fascists like to call themselves libertarians. Especially libertarians that don't know what it means to be libertarian. If they really knew what it meant to be libertarian, they'd just call themselves fascists to begin with. Yeah, I said it. So the problem is that the glue is not sticking to the glass because the glass is either too cold or the glue is too cold. What time is it? I have a watch. I can look. This goes so slow. When this machine, when the labels aren't working well with the machine, it goes so agonizingly slow. And then I have to go and do dumb things like that. Still the one. Now I got that song in my head. Dang it. Turn y'all up just a little bit. You've been busy looking at my feet. All right, so the last 1, 2, 3, 24 bottles of Flower Moon Gin. All right, that one worked good. Let's see, maybe I found a secret sauce here. Well, Bacon does. I will say that Bacon does have his fair share of douchebag edgelords that come on the show. He does not seem, he seems to be a fairly well-balanced arbiter of reality, sometimes a fairly well-balanced arbiter of reality. And I enjoy talking with him because he seems to actually believe what he says most of the time. Even if what he says is nonsense, he believes what he says. And more often than not, when people talk about me when I'm not around, what they at least are willing to say is that he believes what he's talking about. He's not afraid to speak his mind because he's not afraid to speak his mind, and he knows what he's talking about, which is easy to do when you live in reality. Whoops. Here's a fun fact. I'm actually going to talk about this on my next happy hour, I think, unless something catches my attention between now and then. I got curious about a topic, and this is how most of my topics come up. I got curious about a topic because I heard the term the Republic of Cuba. I'm like, oh wait, yeah. Cuba was a republic before Batista overthrew the Congress or the Senate, whatever, the Republican government, and took control, and before Castro overthrew Batista. It was a republic, a democratic republic. And then I got to thinking, wait a minute, the Americas had a lot of republics because we didn't ever have monarchies here. We overthrew a lot of monarchies over here and established republics all up and down the continents. Dominica, Haiti, there are some that are still protectorates and aren't republics at all. But that got me wondering, how many republics were there in the Americas? It seemed to be a fair question to ask, so I got to look at it. And according to scholarly sources, there were 23 republics in the Americas. There are currently 16, but there have been 23. 19 of them have failed at least once. And those, the 4 that never failed, that have always maintained a Republican style of government, and Republican style government simply means it likely has a constitution. It doesn't have to have a constitution, but it likely has a constitution establishing the parameters by which the state will be ruled. It has an executive, and it has a parliamentary legislative body of some sort, and some kind of judicial body. It doesn't necessarily have to have a bicameral Congress, but it has some kind of tripartite system of governance. And it can even be in the form of a parliamentary republic. It doesn't have to be a congressional style presidential. They usually do end up being that way because a lot of them are modeled after the United States. Shocker. But of those of the 19 that failed, I thought the United States had a hand in overthrowing several, but it turns out there were only 4 that were overthrown directly by the United States or the Soviet Union. All of the other were homegrown. and they were little ones in the middle of Central America, Guatemala, Nicaragua. Can't remember the others, but the four that were never overthrown, that never failed as republics, were the United States, Uruguay. I think it was Uruguay. It was either Uruguay or Paraguay. I'm pretty sure it was Uruguay. Panama and Costa Rica. Costa Rica, of all places, they dissolved their military and never faced a democratic an interruption of their republican style of government. The only country in the Western Hemisphere that doesn't have a military. If I'm not mistaken. But then, there's a whole bunch of other common factors of all these countries that failed. Consolidation of power, lack of respect for the rule of law, governance by presidential edict, winner-take-all politics was one of them that was cited by the source documents that I was reading over. It was a fascinating study. It was a little study. I only studied it for like 30 minutes. It wasn't like I took a class in it or anything. I found a thing and I read about it and I dug into the facts a little bit, plugged in a couple of questions into the search engines to see what else I could find about it. But it was quite fascinating. 23 republics in the Americas. Most of them failed. 19 of the 23 failed. And most of them failed because mostly for economic conditions, but also political conditions of what effectively a strongman showing up and saying, hey, I can fix this. And going outside of the system to fix the problems that were being faced by society, generally being caused by economic conditions. Not a lesson at all to be applied to our modern day situation here in the United States, but the world political health system, something, I don't know, one of those think tanks that rates democracies and the health of democracies referred to the United States system as one that was a republic under strain or democracy under strain or something like that. And one of the key factors that was cited was having a government before there was the institutions available to govern. So they didn't have an ability to collect taxes, let's say. They couldn't collect taxes, so there was this government that existed and was unable to collect taxes. Not unlike our own Confederacy of American States back in 1776 or 1776, after the Declaration was signed. Let me go get these boxes. Where are they at? They're back here. And we set up the Confederation of States. Articles of Confederation were signed off on. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, here's my 10 boxes. We're going to go ahead and box these up today so they'll be ready to pick up tomorrow or the next day. I need the spacers for the bottles. Are those their spacers? No, those are my spacers. Their spacers are right there. I know we got really close there for a second. Might have thought we were going to kiss, but no. I was just trying to make it awkward, and I think it worked. All right. So this is the last step. God, it feels good to vent. I appreciate the, I mean, there's like nobody there. Just you, Sunflower. You're the one who had to hear me vent. But it's been a while since I've got a really good rant out there, right? It's been a while. I don't do my show as often as I have in the past. So I haven't had the opportunity to have a really good chest clearing rant like that. Oops. That felt good. Get that shit off my chest. These fucking, I mean, I'm not gonna go the middle-aged mom route and go, you know, I'm not really mad, I'm just disappointed. No, I'm fucking mad. Like, these people don't share our basic American values, and they call themselves patriots, and it's frustrating because they're driving the bus right off the cliff, demanding that we share their values, and they don't share our values. They've been brainwashed by an organization that's been trying to change American culture since the 1980s. They've been waging a culture war since the 1970s, when Ronald Reagan first ran against Gerald Ford for the primary for the nomination to be president of the United States. Way back then. Way. They've been waging this fucking cultural war now for 50 years. Trying to change gun laws, to change free speech laws, to change abortion laws, to change the alliances with foreign states, to get rid of NATO, to get rid of the UN, to get rid of trade pacts in the Western Hemisphere, to get rid of what they consider to be entangling obligations. This is all Heritage Foundation stuff. And I know when I say it out loud, it sounds crazy. And I hate that it sounds crazy, but it's true. This isn't a Rothschilds control the banking industry rant. This is the fucking Heritage Club has been doing this since 1970. Back when mailing lists were physical lists of names and addresses, and you would get a newsletter in the mail. You know, that mailbox that you have at the end of the street, that thing that all the catalogs show up in. That used to be how most political paraphernalia showed up at your house. Most of the materials came to you that way. And the Heritage Foundation, I mean, there was literally a dude. They built their mailing list with a dude literally sitting in an office with a phone book, which is also an anachronism, which I hate the fact that we have to describe to kids what a phone book was, because, oh my God, your phone number used to be readily available in a book that was delivered to people's houses whether you liked it or not, along with your address. God, we lived such innocent lives back then. But a guy literally sitting in an office with a phone book, copying names and addresses. And then they would take that mailing list and they would send you newsletters. That is how the Heritage Club and the Christian majority, the moral majority, and that's how all these guys, these groups built their mailing list and political power. And they became objects that they could buy and sell. They were names and lists. You could get a mailing list for $100. Buy a Heritage Foundation mailing list. Now you get email lists, and you get 1,000 names for $750. If they're good qualified names. If they're less qualified names, you can get 5,000 names for $750. But you got to watch those lists because a lot of them are duplicates. A lot of them are, I got a list once for liquor stores. There were a lot of liquor stores, but there were also a lot of bars and a lot of wineries and distilleries that were counted as liquor stores. And I'm sorry, I wasn't going to pay for those because I don't need to sell to distilleries and wineries. And some of those names were repeat names from the same liquor store, like Specs, 500 Specs names. But only 2 people matter at that entire organization. Hi, Jim. Hi, Chris. Love you. Anyway, this is the cultural war that they've been waging for 50 years. For 50 years, all this cultural war bullshit, Project 2025, all this shit has come from them. And this is a culmination of 50 years of effort at changing our culture. And they have the fucking nerve, the unmitigated gall to tell us if we don't like it, we can just leave. Bitch, you've been trying to change it for 50 years. You've been trying to change this country, not reaffirm the basic cultural values, but to change the basic cultural values. And to a large extent, they've succeeded. Props where props are due. To a large extent, they've succeeded in their mission of changing the values and changing the culture because, Jesus Christ, try to get a gun law passed in this day and age. Impossible. Because they have successfully changed the mindset from a well-regulated militia to give them to blind people. Everyone gets a fucking gun. Yee-hoo! Pew, pew! Yosemite Sam. Bullet, bullet, bullet. Gun, gun, shoot. It's exhausting and it's gross and I'm tired of this shit. I'm so tired of this shit. So tired of this shit. Hey, what's up? How you doing? Anyway, where are we at? Go back live. Yes, I post political reels to my Instagram account, but I keep my opinions to myself. How do you keep your opinions to yourself if you're posting political reels to your Instagram account? All right, boys and girls. That's a job well done. It's 3:36. I'm going to get myself a little snack. That background music is still going. Is that tolerable? It's fine. Whatever. I'm going to get myself a snack. I've got a show that I'm going to be on tonight called Chatterblocks. The show that you talk about the blocks with people from the blocks. So that's on at 6 Eastern. 7 Eastern, which is 6 o'clock my time, which means I need to leave here in the next 20 minutes, clean up some. I mean, I look okay. I'm not too gross. There's my work. There's my face. Hey, look, there's my face. Ah, Lee, I'm a sexy son of a bitch. So next time I do this, I think I might go live on StreamYard just to see, because I think StreamYard actually, I don't know. I'm curious to see if StreamYard has inherently more engagement with the audience, because of course, I'm in the middle of the afternoon on a Tuesday. I very rarely get a shit ton of people piling into this to these behind the scenes things. But maybe if I do it with I'm curious if I do it with StreamYard, then like a bunch of people will pile in because it's StreamYard. I don't know if StreamYard has some kind of secret sauce to increase engagement, but I'm willing to find out. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, Flower Moon Gin, 10 cases plus a bonus for my sales guy, Jody, for Nisar's sales guy, Jody, to pick up and take and deliver to their various places. I am the Old Humble guy. This is the Old Humble Distilling Company. You have been joining me and let me rant, and I appreciate that. You've chatted with me a little bit, son. I appreciate that as well. I am forever grateful for y'all's support, and I am done. I'm gonna go have a drink of water. I'm gonna relax for a little bit, and then I'm gonna head home in about 30 minutes to an hour so I can get home. All right, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, children of all ages, I'm the Old Humble guy. Stay awesome to each other. Treat yourself kindly, and I will talk to you again soon. Cheers.